So I was looking through some old pictures the other day because when I'm making the thumbnails for these videos, I'm just based off of the topic. I'm trying to think of a picture that would kind of fit that or whatever.
Fitting.
So a lot of times here lately, the last couple of weeks, I've been going through old pictures, like just stuff that I've completely forgotten about. So I ran across this picture that cracked me up. I wish I'd have brought it so you could see it because I'm sure you've forgotten all about it. But you remember that one time me and you went hunting? It was just me and you. We were just going out in the marsh, and we were in a canoe or a kayak or something. And
it's when you killed your black duck, I think, or your mottled duck.
I don't remember if it was that day or not, anyways. But it wasn't that cold that day, and for whatever reason, I don't remember if you forgot your jacket or you thought you grabbed your jacket and you grabbed something else. But I remember us getting out there, and you have on a gray T-shirt. And
had pants. I had a pair of pants draped over me.
For some reason, all you had was a pair of camouflage pants, and you got them
draped over me like I'm going golfing.
Like you're going to play tennis. And I saw that picture, and I laughed. I
think what it was is I thought I'd grabbed a camo jacket, and I grabbed an extra pair of camo pants and threw them in the bucket or in the bag, and then I was like, well, crap. So I just draped the legs over my shoulders and was like trying to get a little bit of camo on top of me and hide me.
The butt of the pants are just
flapping off the back.
Looked like you had a sweatshirt tied around your neck.
That was bougie hunting, all right? I was a tennis player. I had my wings on. I was ready to go. Gold wings on, ready to go.
You let the right waterfowl company catch a peek at that. When I'm high end, some Sitka or somebody, they'll be coming out with a sweatshirt that's made to tie up there for your bougie peoples.
I mean, I'd rock it.
But I saw that, dude, and I laughed so stinking hard. And I was like, I bet Nate don't even remember this. I'm proud that you even remember it. But, it was a good time.
About to get real.
Golly, Jimmy.
He wasn't about to get out of here. Let him get nice and low.
Those feathers, bro.
Hey, I'm ready, man.
Oh, they're going to get a steady pass this morning.
And by golly, you're doing it.
Put the smack down, baby.
This just got dirty in a hurry.
Yeah, if I could go back and look through old, I've got a hard drive over there somewhere. I need to plug that jewel in and go back and find ancient pictures that were saved off of a phone. Yeah. Remember back in the day, you took your SD card or whatever out of your phone, SIM card out.
I never had one of those.
Really?
Mm-mm.
You've always been bougie and had iPhones?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, back in the day.
No, I had the BlackBerry.
The BlackBerry and the little keyboard on it
with the little scroll wheel.
My finger's too fat for that thing. I remember trying to use somebody's. I was like, how the crap do you type on this little bitty?
Oh, I remember when
the button's the size of that pinhead.
Made the switch to the BlackBerry. I thought I was somebody.
You never had the Nokia with the snake game? Everybody had the Nokia.
Oh yeah, but it didn't have a memory card.
Well, no, I don't know if it did or not. Some of them phones I have.
I don't remember ever having one.
I remember taking micro SD cards out and saving them because when you look through my hard drive, it's like I just dumped the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So there's stupid crap in there like maps and what happened?
Nothing.
Oh, it's little the maps and everything else you're in there trying to remember. But if you can ever navigate through the pictures, you can find some pretty hilarious stuff.
Oh yeah,
that you may or may not want to see again. But yeah, I need to go through and do that. That'd be a fun little.
Well then. What I actually did last night, the night before, so what led into this was, and I know we had been talking about doing this, but I go to open Photoshop or Premiere, I think it was Photoshop, and it wouldn't even let me open it. It said that my computer was full, that it couldn't store because I guess that your project files, your temporary files or whatever, my computer's jammed full. I'm like, oh my gosh. So.
God, you already filled that thing?
Yeah. So, and that's what's crazy is because I save everything on external hard drives. So my complete computer's completely full of just temporary files, I guess.
About time to wipe that thing.
But, so I went through and I started cleaning up a lot of stuff, which sucks because I have templates that I make these thumbnails with and I accidentally lost all those. So I had to start over for them, but at least I made some room. But yeah, I was going through a bunch of old video stuff and picture stuff, and you forget about how much stuff you got on there.
Oh yeah, there's several pictures I remember of having just up there at the little woody hole of mine of multiple people. Some of them, I'm pretty sure I've got a picture of one of my buddies when he like fell in the water, and I feel like looking back at it, I was kind of a bad thing that like he's falling in the water, he's taking on water, and I'm just like
pictures.
snap that. Feel kind of bad now looking at it, but I've got some pictures of some people that were not made to walk in waders. I've got some pictures of some people that got hung up in briars trying to get out of it, because you remember that joint. It's pretty thick.
Yeah.
And I want to go. I need to plug that hard drive in.
The day you said, "Hey, let's go this way," it's a shortcut. Shortcut is not a shortcut.
But
Not
at least we made a path down there now.
Yeah,
It's a little better.
It's not bad now. There's some poop on the side of the trail, but it's not that bad.
Well, yeah, that's because of you. Pooping outdoors.
Pooping outdoors.
We need to remember. We said we were going to start a puking outdoors.
That's Noah's crew.
Oh my God, dude! How in the world? Like every one of them is like. I was like, y'all gonna make me throw up if you don't stop. I mean, I've got nervous for a hunt, but daggone, them guys just like.
And you know what? You know what was the funniest thing is, so I get a kick out of calling different things, and so some of the best terms for puking that I've always used is like, the yawning rainbow or selling Buicks.
Talking to Ralph.
Selling Buicks is like my favorite. Or talking to Ralph, whatever. They kept talking about yelling at the ground.
What you hollering for?
Because you just. And I was like, that's pretty good. I had never heard that one, but I'm going to have to add that one to the list.
Like I smell a lot of things and see a lot of things at work, but like getting to the blind, that's not the place you think to hear. Get out the truck. All right, really, let's get the decoys. But what in the world is going on?
Well, first of all, right off the bat, Noah I don't think he ever puked, but he was like gagging. I was like, "You all right?" And he was just like, "I just got a real bad gag reflux or something." And I was just like, "Why is he just all of a sudden just randomly?" And then
You swallow a Skittle.
Dustin, who yelled at the ground for real, he had a good reason to open up the trailer, and somebody had forgot there was a couple geese in there, and
Lord.
he went and found him a tree.
Some animal rights people are going to come down.
What's crazy is it wasn't even that bad though.
No.
Like you could barely smell anything.
It was not what I expected it to be. And I smell a lot of dead bodies.
Right.
So I was just kind of like thinking, there's about to be some funk. But
I think between your job and my old job, maybe our nose hairs are just burnt.
We're immune to it. It's like, hey, I find that smell.
But yeah.
But that weren't why they were gagging or throwing up. Talking to Ralph, talking to
I think
yelling
that's
at the
why
ground.
Dustin was.
I don't know.
And I was like, these are the most
That whole crew, though.
Yeah.
And seeing it's bad, but like to not be looking at somebody and just hear that, like, that just gets you. Like, oh.
I don't know. I've had a lot of little boys puke on me to where I feel like nothing phases me no more when it comes to nasty stuff. When it comes to poop and puke, whatever.
The only person I think that I've been on a hunt with that's puked. Well, I take that back. Judd puked in New York, but he had a rightful reason. I mean, he did like a marathon.
Yeah.
Going 6 miles and back. But then I did have back to the woody hole one day when it was cold. Once every 5 years when it's cold. I remember, I think it might have been the same picture. I got the guy that fell in the water. He took on water and it was like ice water and it was freezing that day. So we had to like get him back to the truck. Everybody like gave spare clothes. I had a spare jacket in the truck, whatever. We pretty much stripped him down. He was turning like purple. Was like puking. We had to throw the heat on in the truck, give him every hand warmer we got. We were just trying to warm this dude up, which now I have one of them safety heating blanket jobs or whatever I keep in the truck, but it's just like he's puked and then Judd puked. But other than that, I don't know that I've ever like prepping for the hunt or like setting up just that noise, man. Get you every time.
Good version.
It's just, mine's always talking to Ralph.
There's some people that all they'd have to do is hear it and it makes them sick.
Yeah.
And somebody's listening to this right now and they've already turned it off. They're like, nope, can't do it. Nope.
You remember the movie The Replacements?
Yeah.
I just think of like the huddle where just like, Shane, we got to move, man. We got to move. Or I'm going to. That's us prepping for the hunt. All right, this is what we're going to.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, dude. Anybody that's got like a bad
It's like,
gag reflex or something.
Yeah, we're messing somebody up bad.
But yeah, that's some throwing up kids right there.
But we had a good time. It was
It was fun.
another one of them. For what we're talking about is we ended up making a last minute decision to go hunt with our buddies Noah and Dustin Lamb, not related.
Got to throw that out there every time.
Me and Nate, the planets finally aligned to
We
where
went hunting together.
to where me and him both had a Saturday off.
We haven't been hunting
At the
together since
same-
September.
And finally had a day lined up that we could actually go hunt together. And wouldn't you know, we really didn't have anything to hunt. And we were just going to go over to your swamp and hunt some wood ducks. And I just got to talking to Noah that Friday or Thursday, I think, Thursday night or something like that. And he's like, well, I might have something. It's probably not going to be great, but I might have something. And I was just like, geese,
Wood ducks.
I mean, I was like, dude, you're not going to have to twist my arm to talk me into it. So we ended up kind of making that last minute call, decided to go run up there and hunt with them, which was great. I mean, aside from having to get up at 1 o'clock in the morning and hit the road.
Well, you get a taste of mine though, because you had to come to me this time.
Yeah.
Usually it's like, hey, be at my house at 2:30, which means I got to get up at 1.
Yeah. Usually when you're leaving your house, my alarm's just going off.
It was vice versa. It was nice.
But so we ended up going up there, and that was cool. It was a super cool hunt because we finally kind of got that hunt that I'm always talking about that I want for geese is hunting geese on a small
pond.
Like we get to hunt geese on the water around here, but I feel like every time we do, it's always
it's a
like
lake.
It's like a big piece of water, which always scares the crap out of me because it's easy for stuff to go wrong that way. So this was just this small little cattle pond, and it was just cool. It was like that is the hunt that I wish that I could.
There was
that we
another
could
pond
have a
close
lot.
by that kind of worried me. But,
And that one did, yeah.
but for some reason they wanted that one.
They wanted that one,
How about that horse? Bruh,
dude.
I ain't never in my life.
I forgot about the horse.
I don't know how. He about tackled us.
So yeah, so like I said, we're hunting this cattle pond, and there's some cows out there, and then one horse, young horse, male horse, and he was not happy that we were there.
Well, like most time I feel like I've been around a lot of horses and they might be curious or whatever, but this dude was like ticked. And like we're sitting there in the dark setting up and all of a sudden you hear him he's coming up behind us like trying to get into the blind, everybody's like, hide your gun in the blind because he's going to end up like chewing on it. And then like they had to scare him off, like they're trying to like shoo him away. And then by the time we got back in the blind, turn around, he's sitting right
Yeah, I
behind
mean,
us
it was
again.
just like every time he'd get too close, and he'd start like he was like trotting at us like he was about to charge us, and they'd kind of run him away, and he'd just make a kind of big circle, and he'd come back and do it again. There was a couple times he got a little close where I was like, I'm starting to get a little nervous.
Yeah, I
like,
don't want to be kicked in the head by this thing.
yeah, and luckily we had had a gal out there who is a horse gal, so she kind of knew how to handle him pretty good, and it was one of them you'd run him off, he'd come back, run him off, come back. But I'll tell you,
The best thing that worked.
the best thing that worked was after them shots went off. I didn't even see the horse
Find
again.
that horse.
But yeah, he was.
That's the first.
I've had some scary run-ins with a bull before. Never had a scary run-in with a cow. Or,
Well,
I
you
mean,
see-
a horse. What was it?
It's a horse.
Goat.
You see, you can crawl up on top of it. You run into a lot of different animals when you're out in the woods and you're out trying to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never had a horse be like the dangerous person in the blind, the duck
Yeah.
blind. That's not one that usually happens. I've had some cows. We had cows, plenty of cows come up and try to mess with you, but never a horse.
Most of the time, those are just, they kind of like graze towards you and they're just curious of,
And they're
hey,
just
what's
staring at
going
you.
on over here?
Feel like they're judging you.
But I did have that one run-in with a bull, which I shared when I was turkey hunting. That's the scariest I've ever been in my life hunting. But that horse, I was just like, if he charges us, like, I don't even, what do you do? Jump in the water? I mean, I don't know. No. Like, you ain't going to outrun him.
No. I ain't going to outrun anything.
I guess you just try not to be the first one hit.
Say, you just got to outrun all the other people.
Yeah.
That's all you got to worry about.
But yeah, we got to hunt that cool little small pond, and he had said that there had been some geese on it. It was like 50 or so that'd been using it, and he said that there was a few mallards on there, a few mergansers on there, which I was excited about. The mallards, they didn't show. I think we had like
we saw a couple
2
fly
or 3
over.
that flew right over us, but they didn't even give us the time of day. They were just like, they knew where they were going.
They knew about that horse.
Yeah. Yeah. But we got to kill some bonus mergs. I don't know if I've ever been able to call them mergansers the bonus.
Bonus bird.
But that was cool. The first group of geese, now talking about that, how they kind of worried us. Like, we're sitting there, right? And we'd already shot the mergansers that came in. We're just chilling. I think what's cool about that is it kind of knocks that edge off, like, kind of.
We got the horse away.
Got the horse away. And, you know, kind of got to pull the trigger, knock that first morning jitters off or whatever. Well, then we finally hear geese. Yep, they're coming. Yep, we hear them. You could hear them plain as day. They're coming.
And then they stopped.
And then you could just hear them. And they were loud. They were very vocal, but we couldn't see them yet. But you could tell where they were coming from. You could tell they were coming towards us. They're getting louder. And then all of a sudden, just
Like they hit, like landed somewhere.
dead silent. And I mean, and you know, everybody's heard geese fly. Like when they're very vocal, you know, it's just, blah, 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 you know, they're very vocal. And then all of a sudden you hear nothing. And then we're like, did they just land? And then you just hear this one solo just going, gloop, gloop, gloop.
The screams they landed.
And I was just like, they just freaking landed. You know, like kind of, they'll be real loud and they'll land. And then you might just have that one that's just kind of gloop, gloop. I was like,
Slapping his cheeks.
they just landed somewhere right over that little hill over that way where we, like, right before we could see them. They, like, I knew it for sure. Like, they're on the ground.
And they might have. They didn't stay
And
long
then,
enough.
you know, at that point, everybody's just kind of like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
like, I mean, even Noah was saying that. He was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, everybody just knew that's just what happened. And, like, we're just sitting there kind of looking around like, crap.
All right.
And you know, I was just sitting there thinking, I'm like, golly, it's over before it even started. And then all of a sudden, Noah's like, nope, there they are. And then you could see them, but they weren't even. I don't know. It's the weirdest thing. I can't
They
say
weren't as
that.
vocal the second trip.
Like you could-
second time around.
Right. Even once we actually put eyes on them, I don't remember if they were making any noise. If they were, it wasn't much.
They were probably all mad at Jerry that was slapping his cheeks because like you took us to the wrong place. That's probably what it was. That's my theory.
It's one of them. I can't think of another instance that we've ran into that was like that, to where they're just super vocal, and then all of a sudden you don't hear them at all, and then all of a sudden they just show. Like, I don't know what happened.
Well, we couldn't see them. There was a tree line right there too. So I mean, I don't know that they didn't. I mean, they might have hit a field or something. Or I mean,
But I mean, it
that
was
time of year,
only
I'm sure it's
like
water to water.
It might have been a 60-second pause there,
Yeah.
where just from the time that we were hearing them a bunch to all of a sudden we didn't hear anything except for that one that was just randomly clucking, and then all of a sudden we saw them. I mean, it was probably maybe 1 minute, but it seemed like forever.
Yeah.
But that's still a long time for you can hear them coming, you can hear them coming, you can hear them coming. All of a sudden, nothing.
And then they just pop up.
And then a minute goes by, and then all of a sudden, boom, there they are. But it's just, I don't know. It was just a very odd thing. Had everybody worried. They ended up coming, topping the trees right where we were hoping that they were going to, locked up, pretty as could be. I don't know, what was that first group? Maybe 15, 20, maybe something like
close to
that.
20 maybe.
Thought they were going to do it just as perfect as they could be. They ended up kind of sliding to our left at the last second, but we were still able to. We knocked a good bit out of that group. And was it the first group or the second group that we got to shoot at again? I think it was that group, the first group, wasn't it?
Maybe. You're asking the wrong number.
I think so. Anyways, they kind of swung left.
They wanted to be in there.
Yeah. They swung left, and then we shot at them. I don't know how many we killed right off that. Anyways, got them to circle again, cleaned them up again. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is this is great here. Yeah, they kept, even
when y'all
each
were
time
out
they came
picking up
back
birds.
around, they kept getting higher and higher. But they'd like kind of go away, and then they'd come back, just like, you know,
They want to be in there.
they wanted to be there, but they just, I mean, out of them 15, I bet we killed at least 10 out of them 15.
Yeah, it was
like it maybe
good.
if it was 20, we killed 15 out of 20. Like we killed we decimated that group, and then only ended up having one more group show up. But I mean, so we only had 2 groups total, and still ended up killing, I think 23 is what we ended up with, which is great for just 2 groups.
Yeah.
But it was one of them prime example of that small X. They wanted to be there. You didn't have to work that hard for it, other than be ready. You know, both groups did end up sliding on us at the last second. I don't know if I can't really say that was a decoy thing, because we had everything just kind of strung right on the bank. There was really no, like, we weren't really setting up a pocket. It was kind of all left open for them. So I don't know why they were favoring that side. The only thing that I could think of possibly is that the blind was like super close to the edge,
we
and
weren't
maybe
5 feet off the water.
maybe they just, I don't exactly want to land right on that bush, you know. Maybe that was it, because we were like right on. I mean, I bet it wasn't 2 foot off the water, 3 foot off the water. So that's the only thing I could think of. Which, I mean, it didn't hurt us. It just wasn't perfect. But I mean, obviously,
It worked.
They still finished close enough to where we had some really good shooting.
They finished close enough. I had the wrong lens on.
Yeah.
That was a little tough, but it was good to. For one, I got to go hunting with you, man.
Yeah, I was just tickled
be
that
there with you.
you finally got to go hunting.
And it was water. I haven't got to hunt water in a long time.
Yeah.
So, buddy, what's your thoughts on their? We're going into what's your thoughts here. What they had the cross braces on their blinds. Did you like the cross braces?
I mean,
Like
I didn't.
braces?
I didn't hate them, but I really don't. I don't really understand. And I even asked them, because
Like
they're
if you're
running. They're running stabilizers like we are on the panel blinds, but
Yeah.
they're still running the cross braces. And I asked him what was the point of why you running both, and he said it's just
Extra
help-
support. Kind of.
extra, just to where they're not. Because even with ours, you can sometimes, you know, they might get a little.
Wanky.
Well, they'll kind of want to fall in, especially if like we brush really hard. So a lot of times they'll have a tendency to kind of
weight
want
to
to
'em.
like lean in or whatever. So I can kind of see that extra support being there.
They weren't. They were great for a lot of reasons. The only downside I think is I don't think you were like from the end of the blind. You didn't have one between you and the end, did you?
No.
So I was
So to
sitting
me,
right
it
on the,
didn't matter
yeah,
to
I was
me
sitting
at
right
all.
on the other side of one, so I was kind of trapped in there. It was not super hard to get in and out, but it did. You'd have to kind of duck under it, not hit
Yeah.
it.
I mean, that would be the thing that I don't like about it, is it just makes it a little more pain in the butt getting in and out. But
The stability and being able to,
But-
had a nice little armrest.
well, and you think about typically now when you're getting out to get up birds, at the most you got what? Your 2 guys on this
Couple
end, your 2
guys.
guys on that end. Those guys aren't affected by those cross braces anyways. So really, because that was my thoughts, is like trying to hurry up and get in and out, they'd be a pain in the butt. But technically, the guys that are the hurry,
in the
get
middle.
in and out aren't
Trapped by
affected
'em
by
at
them
all.
anyway. So
But the stabilizers are definitely the trick.
yeah,
They're a little bit of a pain sometimes when it's trying to set them up or trying to store them, but I don't know that we would go back to not using those.
no,
Like,
I know I wouldn't.
even in like
we
no
cuss
wind.
them. We cuss them a lot because
But once they're up,
there's no great way to store them in the trailer. Because my thing is I don't. You can tear them down and fold them up, put them up against the wall to
That's
where
just
they
a lot more
literally
work.
take up no room. But then you're just adding that much more work, and that's my thing. Is like we wanted to add them to make the blind situation better, but without making more work.
Yeah.
So with tearing them down, you're making a lot more work. So if you don't tear them down, they're not.
they're just odd shapes. So
They're just kind of awkward. They take up a lot of room.
But even
That
in
would
no
be
wind,
would be the thing that I don't like about them the most. And then just like setting them up. Setting up's not a big deal as long as you got the guys to do it. Like I've set them up by myself. It is
you got
possible,
to stand on the middle and
but
hold
it
it
is a
up.
pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Like You really need like 3 guys. You're gonna have a guy that's holding it, and then your 2 guys. I mean, you can really do it with 2 guys, but if you got 3 guys, 2 of the guys carrying the blind, and then the guy holding the stabilizer. But you need a minimum of 2.
That's probably why I didn't mind the cross brace so much, because it's like if you add the cross brace and then you add in the legs from the panels, then it'd been like an obstacle course. I even in no wind, I don't think I would go back to using the legs.
Yeah, the kickstands just
just
I never was a fan from day one of those things.
Yeah, I mean because there's a lot of variables that I guess you don't really think about when you're ordering. It's like somebody new that might be buying one.
Yeah,
is okay. Well, how hard is the ground you were trying to get it in?
Right.
A little bit of softer ground actually works better, in my opinion, than something super hard. But for one, if you want to use the windows, most of the time they're set up in the windows.
Yeah.
So you have to slide it off to one side or not, and you can move them wherever you want, but they're kind of designed to be right there.
But the pain in the butt about moving them is
you have to move them back.
Then you got to put them back to close them because they have that little dimple
notch
where they're made to store.
So they're kind of like, they're not in the best of spots. 2, whenever, especially if you got a hard lean going, you usually got them things kicked out pretty far. Now you've created an obstacle course in the blind.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, just the one thing I've noticed the most about it, not so much getting in and out, you would think that'd be the biggest thing, but storing birds.
Yeah.
Like being able to not have any obstacle, because, if the blind's got a heavy lean to it, there's a lot of like foot space down there that ain't getting used. Maybe there's a bucket or something.
Yeah.
But it just gives you that whole open area to just chunk birds. And we did a lot of chunking of birds.
Yeah.
Not being able to get past the little crossbar. No,
because before it was just like you got to be careful. You can't just go slinging stuff because you take out the kickstand. Here comes the blind.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just and I'll tell you something else that like Jake and his crew does in New York. They don't run stabilizers, but they run those cross beams. They run them without the kickstands, just the cross beams.
I mean, I guess that would still do
It'd still do it.
Do the same thing.
It would be the kind of thing of you're going to have a couple guys to kind of hold it and get it set up. But once it's set up, I could definitely.
I wonder how that works in a wind situation.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if we.
I'd have to ask him. I know that they did that this year because I remember when he ordered some, but I haven't really talked to him to see what his thoughts were on that. On were they happy with that running it like that or not? But
it did come in handy for the doors, like the layover when you got 2 sets. Usually we have like a little bungee. We tie the doors up.
I think Noah did say that too. That they try to put them right there in them doors.
Because the top of that door still got a couple inches of flat space on top of it.
Yeah.
And that was like a perfect little spot to keep the doors nice and tight. So it did.
Because a lot of times that's the hardest part is button panels together with keeping the doors open, but making it seamless.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, what we usually do is we take them little bungee straps, so it's like just the loop with the ball, and we kind of run it through the windows and stuff. And that works great at the top. The bottom's still a little wanky usually, but usually it's like throw your blind bag up against it or something like that, and it's fine.
I know we had talked about a while back trying to try those things out. I wouldn't mind having a couple of them.
Yeah, and I mean they're cheap. Those things don't cost.
Well, that
money.
and just maybe you find more uses if you have them all the time.
Yeah, I would be curious to see how they run without the stabilizers, because then it could be one of them things of, well, if they work good without just on their own, and it's not going to be windy, would it be worth doing that instead? Then you don't have to fiddle with it. Like, I'd be curious to try them out.
Yeah, I mean, the blind itself, granted that we do brush pretty heavy, but the blind itself, you bring the doors back, it'll stand on its own long enough for you to get probably set up and use just that.
Yeah.
But
depending on how heavy it's brushed.
Yeah.
Because we've even had it before where the kickstands ain't even going to do it. Like we run them backs real tall, and they get so top heavy.
Well, see, that was my other thing about using those cross braces. Like you're adding kind of a roof to it to the point where you could almost utilize that to help brush overhead if you wanted to.
Yeah, you could even lay it right over the top,
on top of it. So I don't know. It'd be worth giving it a shot. That was the first time I think that I've been in a blind that had them.
Yeah.
I don't think Jake and them had them when we were up there.
No, because they had just ordered them this past summer, so they used them this year, but we weren't.
Yeah,
we weren't there. And even when I ran up there for the weekend with them, we didn't use the panels that weekend, so I didn't even get to mess with them. So that was the first hunt that I'd actually been on with Noah.
Well, we ain't been in the layout all year long, but I have a feeling it's about to happen.
Once,
did we?
We had layouts once. Yeah,
was I with you?
I believe so.
Where was
that?
It?
Was our second hunt of the year.
Second hunt of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember hunting out like that.
We did.
Okay. Well, either way.
We hunted a cornfield.
Well, we about to be in some layouts.
It was opening weekend.
My brain.
It was
I
like
need a new one.
the only halfway decent hunt we had in September.
You know how your computer's out of memory?
Yeah.
My brain.
Out of storage.
Out of storage. I think.
Maybe that just means you're real smart.
Sure. Yes. You hear that? Tell my wife that.
Your write speed is working, but your read speed
ain't working.
is bogged down.
Bogged down. It's. I think I told you this before. This is way off topic, but I got to throw it out there.
It's cameraman jokes.
No, this is going into like story with my wife.
I'm saying we're the only ones that laugh about read speed. Right?
Nobody understands what we're talking about. So I've got a habit now. Like if I'm telling my wife something and she's like, we argue or debate about something, and then if she ever says, "Oh man, you're right,"
then you know you're dreaming.
Well, no, she messed up because I did it on accident. But now every time she says that, "Oh, you're right," I said, "I'm always right. You just ain't learned it yet, or you ain't figured it out yet."
Yeah.
Well, I caught myself probably, I don't know, a couple months ago. She said that again, and she said, "You're right," and I said, "I'm always right," and she like finished it for me. I was like, "See, you know that saying. How many times have you heard me say that?" She goes, "All the time." I was like, "What does that tell you?" All the time you've told me I'm right. So I've built my own argument there.
Oh,
I'm
man.
kind of liking it. I need to work on that. It's little small things, man. Small things, small victories.
I'm still not convinced that your wife is a human. I think she's a robot that you made up here.
Well, she's building a human.
So, and props to you for figuring that out. Not that part, but that you got your robot to make a robot.
But anyway, sorry, way off topic. I just do that. She's gonna hate me. She's gonna listen to this and be like, "You're an idiot."
Oh man.
But back to hunting.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's how our weekend went last weekend, it was a good time.
And guess what?
What?
I'm on call this weekend.
You're on call this weekend?
Shocker.
I figures. I went. Me and old Dirty D went scouting yesterday.
Yeah. How did that go?
Trying to figure out something for the weekend. It actually went surprisingly well. Except any of you that is a faithful listener that's listened to each episode, the last episode that we did on What's Your Thoughts, we talked about don't be that guy. And I was that guy yesterday.
What'd you do?
I was late.
Oh.
And we just did an episode about my number one thing, and you were even like, "Yeah, that's your biggest pet peeve. You hate it." I said, "Don't be late. Value people's time. Yada yada."
And you left Dirty D waiting on
and
you.
then I was like, in my defense, it wasn't my fault. It's not that I wasn't up. It's not that I wasn't ready. My wife overslept. She takes the boys in the morning, and so she gets up. And
you better hope to God she's not listening to this because you just threw it on her.
Oh no, yeah, I'll throw her under the bus because I know she ain't listening. And if she does, she'll let me know. But no, she was running a little bit behind. Me being the great husband that I am, decided instead of just running out the door, gotta go, I'll help her get the boys ready and help her get on the way because she was, it was a stressful morning. She's trying to get her ready and get two boys ready and get the lunches packed and all yada yada. Like, she has a lot to do in the mornings, and when I'm scouting or hunting, usually I'm gone before she's even up. So I was
if it's that stressful of a morning and she knows you're out chasing birds,
yeah, it
will not go well.
Right. Home. And I do that all the time. And so it's like, well, here's a case where I didn't have to leave super early. And so I was there while she was up doing that, and I just texted Devin. I was like, "Hey man," I was like, "I'm gonna be a few minutes late. I gotta get these boys ready to go." So it was like one of them. I didn't screw up and be late, but I was late.
Would have been awesome if Devin would have looked at you and said, "Don't be that guy."
Well, I had texted him. I said, "Hey man, sorry, I'm gonna be a few minutes late. This is what's going on." I was like, "Don't listen to our most recent episode." He was like, "I'm listening to it now," and I just did the hand on the forehead emoji. And so yeah, I got a taste of my own medicine there. I guess I got to do better at practicing what I preach. I'm never the guy that's late.
But
and it's
in your defense, we did say some of those things do happen occasionally.
That's true.
And
it was just horrible timing because it's like we
right after.
just did that. Like that episode dropped. It hasn't even dropped yet. Well, if you're listening to this, it has.
Yes.
But at that point, it hadn't. Yeah, it had because he listened to it. Has it dropped? I'm so confused.
What's today? Out of right speed.
Buffering?
Today,
We're buffering.
today is Wednesday, so it dropped yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it dropped yesterday.
Yeah, it did drop yesterday. Yeah, okay. So it dropped the morning of the day that I was late.
Yeah.
So the day that
The day you preached it was the day you messed it up.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. Whew, that's
a lot.
It took a lot of work. But yeah, we had a pretty good scout.
Did you find ducks, geese? Both? Geese?
Yeah. Good bit. Well, I say good bit. Not a ton, but more than I was expecting to see.
You think it's worth holding on to it until Monday so I can go?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm down
Monday's
with
a
that.
holiday, so.
Oh, it's the king, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Because the thing is we got to get back down there and look at it again.
Yeah.
Because when we saw them, when we found them, they were obviously already there. We didn't get out there till
Because of Garrett.
I don't know. It was a little bit after sunrise. But so I really want to go back there and verify. Like when we saw them, it was 8:00. So it's like, were they on the roost? Or did they already come there? Like, I don't know that for a fact. It was kind of like right there in that middle of, did they just sleep in a little bit and that was still their roost? Or did they actually go there this morning? I really don't know.
Did you see any ducks at all?
A few. Not
Dirty Mergs.
not that great. Some buffle snatches. Few, probably some ergs. I don't know. But either way. But it got me thinking about something that I don't think that we've really talked about that much with the podcast as much as scouting. I know we talked about some scouting some, but I don't think we've really hit on what we call cyber scouting or like Onyx kind of deal.
We used the crap out of Onyx.
And I just thought, that might be something that some people might overlook that before we ever even jump in the truck and go look at stuff, my kind of pre-scout, cyber scout or whatever is, actually looking at maps and kind of figuring out. You can get a lot of scouting done just looking at your map, sitting right there on your computer or on your phone. And just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about what you do or what I do when it comes to stuff like that. I know me and you've sat here on a computer and done it together and just ways that cyber scouting for one can be beneficial, and then two, just how Onyx in general can be beneficial.
I think that actually changes a little bit from ducks to geese, though.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I remember back in the day, I used to hunt with Alvin's a lot, and it seemed like every time me and him got together, there was a map pulled up, and then we were constantly looking at points, because you can look in most of those maps, and you can kind of tell what water looks shallow, what water looks deep.
Right.
Looking at we're talking about waterways and marsh hunting, like looking at different points that are going to stick out to where, if a lot of birds are known to be in this area and there's kind of a flight line, what's a good point that's going to get us out underneath that? Or, and then we look at the point and say, okay, well, you can kind of see the sand underneath. Like that looks pretty shallow.
Right.
I don't want to hunt in 12-foot deep water. But then you change the game over to like geese, and I feel like, geese roost in water, right?
Yeah.
So we usually start at a point like, where's a good spot that looks like a good roost? Is there agriculture around it? And then it's a matter of finding out what that agriculture is, which Onyx has got to where we tried using that a little bit, the whole marking it for corn, beans, whatever. I don't know that I really do it anymore, but it was a good thought process, I guess.
Once you get so many pins, it turns into way too much stuff to keep.
You can't
up
even
with.
see the road names on our Onyx no more. It's just
it's
like
bad.
it's covered.
It's bad.
What did we say one time? I think we cover 8 counties. I think it's 8 counties.
That at some point in one another, yeah.
We got pins in 8 counties. But no, it was a good thought process, I guess. And there's probably other aspects of Onyx that we haven't learned how to use yet.
There's definitely features that we don't use, and they're always coming out with new stuff. I guess my main thing is like, if you're if you kind of got a general area, or like if you're going to go scouting, instead of just being like, I'm going to go here, like there's a little bit of homework that you can do before you actually get in the car or get in the truck, whatever. And that's just kind of a thing that I was like, I don't know that we've really talked about that much, but just kind of like how we go into doing that, ducks and geese, is that kind of stuff. Look at your maps, if you kind of, like you said, about finding roost, or like
finding water, finding food source.
With the geese this time of year around here, like we very rarely, if any, find geese really feeding in fields. So like I kind of know that's off. So right now it's just like, well, if I do know where a roost is or where they could be or whatever, the general area, then I'm just like, all right, well, I need to check all these ponds within, a 4 or 5 mile radius of this roost, like that just kind of lets me know they're probably going to be in one of that, like, and that's like stuff that I can look at before I even go. And that just kind of already gives you an idea.
Well, that, and like, think about like driving down the road, whether it's you're scouting or going to work or whatever it is. When you see geese in the air, that gives you a decent amount of information. Not a lot. Some of our guys who will pin the road they were on and say, I saw geese right here. Well, that doesn't really tell me much, but
right.
It at least give you an idea. Like, say you're on the way to work or you're going to a call or whatever, and you see birds flying over. It might only be like a 5-pack of geese, but okay, well, I seen them here. Then you pull up Onyx and you're looking like, is there a water source? Is there a food source? Is there something, the direction they were coming from? That might be something to go investigate later.
Yeah.
Kind of like,
like if you saw someone cross a road and then I'm like, all right, I'm just going to pin right where I saw them at the time. And then when I get stopped or sometime, I might look and say, okay, they were heading in this direction. There's only one body of water right there. Yeah. There's a good chance that might have been where, especially if it's like, oh, they were crossing the road cupped up. Like they were about to hit something. Oh, look, there's only one pond right there. Probably where they went. Like, like that's what I mean by the whole, you can do a lot of scouting right there on your phone or on your computer before, not saying that you ain't going to have to put in the drive time. You're going to have to drive. But there's definitely homework that you can do before just hopping in and flying blind.
We've done a lot of reverse scouting too. And what I mean by that is like, so you go out, say you had that spot, you saw birds fly over, you got a pond. Okay, I'm going to go sit on that in the morning and see if they hit it.
Yeah.
Well, by the time you see birds or don't see birds, whatever it may be, it's 8, 9:30, and now it's like, well, I don't want to waste the rest of the morning. I'm gonna go ride around. You find birds on a pond somewhere else or on a field somewhere else. The homework ain't done. Just because I see birds in a field don't mean that it's done. Right. Now I want to know. All right, well, there's the feed for now. Where's the roost? Because the feed might change in a week, or it might change in 2 days. It might change tomorrow.
Right.
So I feel like we've done a lot of reverse scouting where we've been riding around and we've found a feed. But we don't just call it. We're not just like, oh, found birds, let's go hunt them. No, we kind of, all right, well, where'd they come from? How many groups? All this other stuff. So now it's like, I seen birds in this field today. Tomorrow, somebody needs to sit there and watch which way they came from.
Yeah.
And then you're backtracking. Okay, they came from the south. Okay, now let's look at the map. Let's find a water source south. There's 5 of them. Now I got to go figure out which one was the roost.
Yeah.
So now I got to go in the evening.
Or sit in it on the evening and try to
figure out where they go. So I'm saying, so there's a lot like a backtrack.
And the reason we do that is
feeds change.
And or say it's, early season where we got, good numbers of birds where, you might be hunting, a couple hundred birds, and say you do get that feed and you hunt them. Well, now obviously they're not going to go there the next day. But say there was 200 birds and you killed 20 of them or whatever. Well, there's still a lot of birds there to hunt. Probably still the same. That roost is probably still the same. If you know where that roost, but if you didn't know where that roost is, you hunted that feed. Well, now all of a sudden you have no idea where the birds are. But if you already knew where that roost was and you could hunt that field, well, now you can pick back up and go back to that roost again the next day or however many days. And well, now let's see where they're going. It just gives you opportunity to get on those birds more than once.
And I think that's a good tip, if you will, for something you want to do, like some tips, is don't just see birds in a field, let's plan that's my hunt. Because how many times have we been to where we found birds on a feed and like, okay, well, I'm going to go watch them the next morning, and they never show. Like they changed feeds. You might have saw 20 birds
especially
in that field.
Early season.
You might have saw 20 birds in that field, but what you don't know is 3 days ago there was 100 birds in that field.
Yeah, you might have found that feed as it was changing.
Yeah, and
that's a good point.
I think there is a lot of people that probably do that just, because it does suck sometimes when you have to drive every single day, all day. It seems like trying to find them. But if you stop at just the first little hint you get, then you're only setting yourself up for maybe one little hunt versus do all the homework, find the roost, find the feed, find the loaf, find the flight lines, doing things like that. Now I might have created 6 hunts.
Right. And around and you know, and that could change depending on where you're at. We're speaking about here where we're not dealing with many migratory geese.
Yeah, this is local.
We're talking about, you know, local birds where it's like, okay, well, this one town's got 200, 300 birds in this one little area. I don't want to just hunt them once because I might have to hunt them 2-3 times.
Yeah.
So the more information you can have, the better. This is not like a migrator field to where they're there today. You better hunt them tomorrow because then they're going to be gone. Like in that case.
But talking to like Jake and them who actually get a chance to hunt a lot of migratory birds, I think that their big thing is flight lines.
Right.
You know,
because they run a lot of traffic.
They run a lot of traffic and just knowing, okay, this is a flight line. If I can get near that and find out where that feed is, then I have you're doing more than just, there's birds, let's go hunt it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a misconception sometimes that, because then, you know, people, especially people that don't hunt, like people I work with, I'm like, oh, I'm tired. You know, I've been up since 4 a.m. riding around, blah, blah. Well, how you doing that for? Trying to find geese. That's crazy, man. I'm like, well, it is. But it's if I just went out and found birds in a field and then you waited, worst thing we ever do, let's hold that till Saturday.
Yeah.
That works all the time, right?
Didn't you just ask me to hold something till Monday?
That's because I can't go. I got to work. But you can still go look. I mean, did you find a roost? You can find
right now it's not ready anyway.
Do the homework and see if we can track them down. But no, I mean, it's just I do know a lot of people that scout that, you know, they're riding and they're looking in fields and they're trying to find birds. But it's like just because you found, even if you found a big feed, there's no reason to stop there. I think there's a lot more homework that can be done that you might not only set you up for this Saturday, but next Saturday if you actually have a lot of homework and you've tracked down what these birds are doing, and they change. It's a wild animal.
There's a fine line that you got to ride on of the not rushing it and getting enough information that you need, but then not dragging it out too long. And then you waited too long. Like, so it's the whole, don't be in a hurry, but don't drag your feet.
But see, that's also the thing too, with like, especially like September when crops are getting cut. Like finding birds in a field that's not even finished being cut yet, I love. Yeah. That'd be great. You know, but you got a cornfield it's already mowed down, they're in it, and you just drive by and see them there. You have no clue how long they've been there.
Right.
But you find one that's only a third of the way mowed and they've already lit into it.
Right.
Okay, they're probably going to be here because he's probably coming back to mow in the next day or two. There's going to be a whole lot more, you know, fresh cut corn. That's probably something to look at. And I think we've talked about it before, like being able to find that field that's still got standing corn in it. Like, okay, well, there's a good possibility that's still going to be a feed for a few more days versus one that's just already mowed down.
Yeah.
Now with sod, I couldn't tell you nothing about this. Just don't even try it. It's sod's one of those. They gonna be there. They ain't. Your wife was right on that one. You got to give her credit for that one. But for the whole corn aspect, like I said, there's small things that I think people don't understand what we are processing when we are scouting. It's not just let me ride around, see birds, let's go hunt them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like notes. There's a lot of this is what they were doing.
I feel like there's a lot more homework that goes into the geese side of things than it does with the ducks, because I can't say that we do near as much studying when it comes to the ducks. Like the ducks, kind of like, obviously you want to find that X. If you can figure out where they're coming from, great. But I don't know that we really usually put a lot of study into, well, where were they roosting?
But I think you can. I think it's just we don't want to give up our goose scout time to duck scout sometimes.
Yeah.
Like if I had somebody duck scout and somebody goose scout, there is a lot of homework to do with ducks, I think.
Oh, if we put as much homework in,
we don't have a boat for one.
Yeah.
And then two, it's just like I said, it's like, I can go out here and try to figure out where these 5 mergansers went, or I can go try to figure out where those 100 geese went.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't have time to do both, and if I'm obviously going to choose the one I want, but I mean I think there is homework to do, and I think a lot of that goes into.
I just meant for somebody who's we're speaking on this scouting topic. Somebody, maybe not as many people are goose hunting,
hunters.
so like on a duck hunting side of things, I would say our process might be a little different on the fact of I think then we just more or less are focused on finding that X.
Yeah.
And well, the ducks are a little different too. I think our ducks are way more migratory than our geese are. So that roost might not be near as consistent as like our goose roost would be. And
I feel like I play the weather game more with ducks than I do with geese too.
Yeah.
Like geese.
And then a lot of times, like most of the time we're hunting geese, it's private versus most of the time we're hunting ducks, it's public. And it's kind of like when you find it, you better hunt it.
Yeah.
Like, because if you don't, somebody else is going to. Like, so it's definitely a lot more of a rushed game when it comes to the ducks, especially if you find something good around here. You better go do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it don't even matter if season's in. You better go do it. I'm just kidding.
Well, it's just like in Pamlico. We talked about hunting Pamlico. Like, okay, so the impoundments in Pamlico are open 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Saturdays.
Right.
The mindset of some people is like, well, I don't want to go and there's people in hunting the impoundments because they're going to kill all the birds that I'm not. I do. I want to go when there's actually people hunting that so that the birds are moving constantly. And I feel like that's not something we really play a game with on geese is like, let's hunt around other people. But for ducks, I would prefer there to be somebody hunting over a 9 impoundment, somebody hunting on that
Just
point.
keep 'em moving.
Just to keep birds up and moving. So.
This episode is brought to you by Odie Sporting LLC, the creators of the Triptych, the original bird hunter's multi-tool, with features for both waterfowl and upland hunters. We encourage you to go check out the product at www.thetriptych.com and make sure to use promo code TEAM910 for 20% off your purchase.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different variables that go into it, and I think that I wish that we did have the opportunity to scout ducks a little more than we do, just because, especially the weather game. Like I said, I mean, here, think about like the Pamlico trip I just took. That was a lot of birds, but it was because of that weather. I mean, it was cold as mess, and I think that's a game that we have to play.
The ducks are way more weather dependency for sure, around here, anyways.
Yeah. And it might be, and then for somebody that's listening in a different flyway, it could be a whole other ball game, you know.
Yeah.
But for local guys or what we're trying to do, I feel like I'm not going to be like when we're goose hunting, we look at the weather for the purpose of the wind direction and the speed of the wind.
Yeah.
That's pretty much about. Sometimes, you know, if it's going to be foggy, stuff like that, we do look into some of it. But for ducks, like when it's 75 degrees outside, there's no wind, it's bright bluebird day, I just don't really want to go sit on the marsh.
No.
I just don't. I have learned, especially with salt winds.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah.
Who'd have thought that would have been like a banger when we were hunting in a hurricane?
For sure.
But if you look at the aftermath of it, it's like, well, we were hunting a pocket.
Like looking at one of them days, it would be like, that's one of them. It's almost too nasty to go.
Yeah. But it benefited us because we were hunting a pocket. They wanted out of that wind just like we did.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of variables that people you don't just go out, see birds and go hunt them.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
absolutely.
You stress that enough. But
so one thing that I wanted to try to do is trying to think of like some new segments we can do or whatever. And I know like we started the What's Your Thoughts thing, and that's kind of just like a quick like 10-minute topic thing. We pick a topic, kind of think about it. Where what I wanted, a new thing that I wanted to start here, and I don't even know. I just kind of fake named it on kind of a play off of TikTok, but a 910 tip talk. And basically just thinking of different things that me or you, or if we have a guest with us, trying to think of a tip or a trick or just something. I kind of think of something like out of the box, like besides the obvious, like, you know, I'm not going to say tip of the week is clean your gun. You should know to clean your gun. Like, you know, that kind of thing. So I'll go first to kind of give you that idea.
Okay.
And
hit me, Goose.
and then see whatever. So my 910 tip talk of the week is a little homemade gun hanger that I do. So for a little bit of backstory, if you're hunting a swamp, if you're hunting a timber, whatever, where you're going to be hanging your gun on a tree, I hate using gun slings or straps or whatever you want to call them. Like, I just hate them. To me, they swing all in the way. They get caught on stuff. I don't like them. So what I do is, now I don't know that all guns come with these, but the retails that we shoot come with these, and I'm sure you can buy these or whatever, but they come with the little swivels that you put on your gun to put a strap on it.
Yeah, the swivel mount for your...
So the retails come with a swivel mount. Well, what I do is, instead of running a strap, I just put one of them swivel mounts on the end cap of my gun, and then the strap that I use is a tangle-free timber strap or whatever, and it's just got the little hook. Well, that swivel mount will hook right on it. So I can still hang my gun on a tree without having to run an actual full-fledged sling.
Somebody we hunted with had something similar to that. I can't remember who it was, but I think it was like
G2.
Was a little homemade.
He's got a little paracord
one that's got a hook on it. That's a super sweet idea.
Yeah.
Just have it.
It's
not
the same,
in the way.
Same concept is what I'm doing, but yeah.
Extendo version.
And I'm pretty sure Wes at VPC makes those. He probably got it made from him.
That'd be a little sweet little thing to have.
But yeah, that's just that's kind of like my little tip for somebody that don't like to run a sling, but you need to hang your gun. Is you can use those little swivel things.
Or I'm the sling guy. I run the sling in the water.
Or if you don't even have one of them, I tell you what would still work is a freaking keychain. You can run a keychain through that little eyelet hole of your end cap.
Heavy one.
Well, yeah, but
nice
I mean, but I'm just saying, like, you could run a nice keychain through there and still be able to hang it right on a hook. And that's just a way to hang your gun without running a sling.
Dang. Yours is way better than mine.
Well, I don't know. It's just something. I just feel like if you really, maybe not putting you on the spot like this, but if you really think about it, there's probably a ton of like just little
quirky things,
that we've came up with.
Mine was not related to like a little quirky thing. Mine was a hunting related thing. So I got to think of something now.
Well, no, you can give it to us.
My tip was don't educate birds that don't need to be educated, and what I mean is, how many times have we been on a hunt where it's like, bird, you're not on X, and birds are flying by, passing by, whatever. And I get it. You set up a lot of stuff. You took a lot of time and you set everything up and you want to hunt and you want to kill something. But if you got a group that's passing by and they're going somewhere else, the X is not there. Is it really going to benefit you to take pop shots or sky bust and maybe get one or two when you could say, we were in the wrong spot. Let's not scare the crap out of them. Let's not educate too many birds. Let's just pull the cord, start over, and move and find that X.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes that gets, because you do put a lot of work in. People, I mean, you go out there and you scout and you set up blind, you set up decoys, and maybe you set up a ton of decoys. But if you're not on X, is it really gonna? You're not gonna sit there with my two birds we sky busted like, yeah, we had a good hunt. No, we got almost skunked because the birds went over here. When you could, let's not just take pop shots. Let's stop calling, stop doing everything. If they are obviously just weird, completely off, don't ruin your next chance for a hunt.
Yeah,
because you might be able to hunt them over here.
Knowing your limitations of a shot.
But even if you could hit them, say if they're sky high and you you're a good shot and I could probably scratch out one or two of these. Is it really worth scratching out two of a 40 pack?
Well, I mean, no, not in a case like that.
That's what I'm saying. When you can pull the cord and say, let's move over or let's try to do something different. Yeah. I think that's something that gets lost because you put in that much work and you're like, I ain't going home without shooting this gun.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, most of the time it doesn't. But I think that's a thing that people get lost in translation because they're like, man, I put all this work in. I'm going to shoot this dumb bird. I don't care if they're hitting it or not.
Yeah.
When really you might be able to set up a banger tomorrow or the next day or a couple of days later if you just say we were off. Yeah. Let's just.
Well, I think a lot of the times the reason those birds are sky high is because everybody and their mama's already sky busted at them, and that's why.
That's what I'm saying. You're educating birds that don't really. It's not beneficial to do it.
Yeah.
As much as you want to squeeze the trigger, I'd rather save it and let's go shoot the 12 shells tomorrow instead of the one shell I took at the bird that's laughing at me.
Or it's like something that I don't think we necessarily get this a lot around here because, let's be honest, we're not shooting limits a lot around here. But like, how many times have you seen a video or even on a hunt that we might have been out of town where it's like, we only need one or two more birds to finish off. And you got freaking 100 birds circling over you. we're not going to shoot into that group for that one more bird.
No.
Like, let them do their thing. We'll get a single to come in here and finish it off, because there's no point in educating 100 birds for getting
one.
that one more bird.
And that's kind of the same thing as what I'm saying. Like, don't educate 40 just to kill your one, just because you had to squeeze the trigger before you went home. And I think that people do that a lot.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a good one.
Not as cool as your little gun hanger. I like the little gun hanger.
Well, you know.
But I'm a strap guy, so that's something I won't use.
It doesn't matter to you, yeah. Well, something that I think we need to be better about, we're wrapping this up, but plugging our stuff. Plug it in, play it.
Play it.
We've really been trying to amp these up here lately with the podcast and the videos and the freaking, just daily posts and reels and pictures and featured videos, like trying to pump out as much content as we can. For some of you that might be just a listener of the podcast, if you haven't already, we got plenty of other things you could check out. What's some of them? I feel like I always do this.
You always do this? Well, I mean, for one, I know you look at the numbers for listening to podcasts on like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever it may be, but we're also doing the video aspect of it now. So this is all on YouTube as well, which is another great thing you kind of see some of the emotions, because I know me and you might have that silent dead moment, but it's usually because either we're laughing our butt off or making a gesture at each other, and that gets lost. We're used to being in front of a camera. So there is that option to go on YouTube, and not only while you're there, check out some of the podcast stuff, but some of the videos. I feel like social media is the world now. Everybody's on social media.
Yeah.
But we do a lot of YouTube stuff, and all of our videos are on YouTube. They're on our website. And just, if you like the pictures and you like some of the reels that you're doing, maybe go check out YouTube, because especially like Redemption, that is my favorite video. Yeah. That's worth watching.
That's our most recent video we just came out with.
So that's definitely worth the watch, I'm telling you. But check out videos on YouTube. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe. That stuff right there helps us keep track of it and what works, what doesn't. It also helps just kind of get the name out there. And I really want to expand YouTube. I feel like we've harped on Instagram and stuff like that. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Pretty much on every social, TikTok. Now, what is it? Tip Talk. Tip Talk. But
it's hard.
Go out there and check out the different ones. And some people might be, I know people that all they do is TikTok. Like, they don't have an Instagram, but they are glued to TikTok. But check it out.
I feel like we try to hit a little bit of all
of them just to kind of expand. But check it out. Hit subscribe buttons. Send us feedback. There's a lot of people on social media that you can message and they will not answer you.
Oh yeah.
We are very interactive. We like to hear feedback. Especially, I look at the numbers. People listen to this mess. Well, some things or topics or ideas or maybe tips. Maybe people have their tips of what works better for something we don't even get a chance to do, like migratory birds or different flyways they have tips for. I'd love to hear it. I'll sit here and chat it up with you. So,
yeah, I think that's definitely something that we want to do, is trying to start making things more interactive. And not just with the podcast, but with Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or TikTok or just, with anything. Like, a lot of times we're spinning our wheels trying to figure out what to talk about. Let us know what you want us to talk about. Let us know what you'd like to see more of. What kind of pictures do you like, videos do you like, what kind of topics do you want us to discuss, yada, yada, yada.
Yada, yada, yada.
That kind of deal. I don't know.
Man. Click the button.
All right, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.
See ya.
Later.